In the vast and unforgiving expanse of the Old West, where trust was as scarce as rain and danger lurked behind every shadow, a soaked traveler appeared on the horizon just as the night threatened to swallow the land whole. The cold wind bit through his tattered clothes, and every step he took seemed weighed down by exhaustion and desperation. Few would have dared to offer him shelter, let alone a meal, but the rancher who saw him that midnight hour knew something others did not. A simple act of kindness could change everything. With hands weathered by years under the relentless sun, the rancher welcomed the stranger into his humble home, offering warmth, food, and a quiet refuge from the storm outside. It was a moment suspended in time, a brief pause in the harsh rhythm of frontier life, where two men from different worlds connected over a shared humanity. Little did the rancher know, this small gesture would soon echo far beyond the walls of his ranch, summoning a force powerful enough to reshape the fate of the land. The traveler's story was etched with hardship and survival, but beneath the grime and weariness lay a spirit unbroken and a mission that would soon be revealed. As the first light of dawn stretched across the sky, what arrived was not just a grateful man, but an army, 300 strong, marching in response to a call only the most loyal and brave could answer. The rancher's midnight hospitality had sparked a chain of events that would change the course of their world forever. This tale is not just about survival, but about the unexpected power of compassion in a land where suspicion often ruled. It is a story of how one man's kindness ignited loyalty and courage, uniting unlikely allies under the vast western sky. What followed that night would become a legend whispered through the canyons and plains, reminding all who heard it that even in the wildest frontier, hope and honor could rise when least expected. Stay with me as we unravel the journey of the soaked traveler, the steadfast rancher, and the army that came before the sun rose. An unforgettable story of faith, friendship, and the fierce spirit of the Old West. This is a story that will challenge what you think you know about courage and loyalty in a world built on survival. The night was cold and unforgiving, the kind that seeped into bone and soul, when the soaked traveler appeared on the rancher's land. His clothes hung heavy with rain, his face etched with exhaustion and quiet desperation. Most would have turned away, fearing trouble or weakness, but the rancher saw something deeper, something in the traveler's eyes that told a story of survival and silent strength. Without hesitation, he opened his door, welcoming the stranger into the warmth of his home, offering him more than just food, offering hope. Inside the modest cabin, the fire crackled softly as the rancher prepared a meal with hands steady from years of hard work. The smell of warm stew filled the air, a comfort in the bleakness of the storm outside. The traveler ate in silence at first, savoring not just the food but the rare kindness extended to him. The rancher, too, understood that this moment was fragile yet vital, a quiet rebellion against the harshness of the frontier where mercy was often scarce. As the traveler warmed himself by the fire, the rancher's mind wandered to the loneliness of this land. How often strangers passed through, battered and broken, never finding a place to rest. But this man was different. There was a resolve beneath the weariness, a purpose that set him apart. The rancher felt a stir of something ancient and powerful, the unspoken bond forged between two souls when compassion meets resilience in the darkest hour. Outside, the storm raged on, but inside, a fragile peace took root. The rancher listened as the traveler shared fragments of journey fraught with danger, fleeing enemies, lost kin, and battles fought both within and without. Each word carried weight, drawing the rancher into a world beyond his own, a world where loyalty and honor demanded sacrifices few could imagine. In that small cabin, destiny began to weave its threads. By the time the fire dwindled to embers, the traveler's gratitude was clear, not just for the meal, but for the belief that kindness still existed in this wild land. The rancher knew that the dawn would bring more than just light. It would bring the arrival of an army, answering a call only those bound by unbreakable loyalty could hear. Their journey together was only just beginning. As darkness gave way to the pale light of dawn, the rancher awoke to the distant sound of hooves pounding against the earth, a rhythm growing louder, stronger, unstoppable. From the horizon emerged 300 riders, a a formidable army riding not just for battle, but for a cause etched in loyalty and trust. Their presence was a testament to the Soke traveler's influence, a man who had called upon bonds forged in fire and tested by time. The rancher watched with a mix of awe and resolve as the army approached, their flags fluttering proudly against the morning sky. These were not mere soldiers. They were brothers and sisters united by a shared mission, bound to the traveler by honor and history. Their arrival signaled a turning point, not only for the rancher and the traveler, but for the entire region, where lawlessness had long reigned unchecked. Whispers spread quickly among the townsfolk, many skeptical at first, but soon captivated by the story of the traveler and the army that came before the sun rose. Tales of past deeds, sacrifice, and unyielding loyalty painted a picture of a man whose kindness had ignited a force powerful enough to challenge even the fiercest foes. The rancher's midnight meal was no longer just an act of charity. It was the spark that had set a revolution in motion. Amidst the gathering, the rancher and traveler stood side by side, two figures linked by fate and mutual respect. The traveler's quiet strength complemented the rancher's steadfast spirit, together embodying the courage that defined the Old West. Their alliance inspired hope in those who had long lived under the shadow of fear, showing that even in the wildest frontier, humanity and honor could prevail. As the sun rose higher, the army prepared to march forward, their eyes fixed on the horizon where justice and survival awaited. Behind them, a town stirred with newfound courage, ready to face whatever challenges the day would bring. The midnight meal had become a legend in the making, a story of faith, friendship, and the fierce spirit that never yields. The sun climbed higher, casting long shadows over the rugged landscape as the army prepared to move. The riders adjusted their gear, checked their weapons, and exchanged determined glances, united by a cause that ran deeper than duty. It was loyalty born of shared hardship and unwavering belief in the traveler's mission. The rancher stood at the edge of the gathering, pride and resolve filling his chest, knowing that the simple act of feeding a soaked stranger had awakened a force no one could ignore. The traveler, once weary and worn, now stood tall among the soldiers, his eyes sharp and focused. His journey had been long and treacherous, marked by betrayal and loss, but also by moments of kindness that had kept his spirit alive. The rancher's kindness was one such moment, a turning point that had breathed new life into his purpose. Now, surrounded by 300 loyal men and women, he was ready to face the enemies that had haunted his path. As the column of riders moved through the town, whispers followed them like a rising wind. The people who had once doubted now watched with a mixture of awe and hope, seeing not just an army, but a symbol of justice and protection. The traveler's story spread, told in hushed tones and shared over hearth fires, a story of survival and the power of compassion to forge unbreakable bonds in a land where trust was rare. The journey ahead would be fraught with danger. Outlaws and rival factions ruled the surrounding territory with ruthless hands, unwilling to relinquish power without a fight. But the army rode with the confidence of those who knew they fought for something greater than themselves, a cause fueled by kindness and the promise of a better future. The rancher's midnight hospitality had set in motion a force that would challenge the very heart of lawlessness. As they left the town behind, the riders' footsteps beat like a drum across the dusty plains, a sound carrying the weight of hope and vengeance. The soaked traveler's past was no longer a burden, but a beacon, guiding a legion ready to rewrite the story of the Old West. One battle, one victory, and one act of kindness at a time. The days that followed tested the army's strength and resolve. The frontier was as unforgiving as ever, with harsh terrain and relentless enemies seeking to crush the rising threat. Yet, the riders pressed on, driven not only by strategy and skill, but by the unshakable bond formed around the traveler's cause. Each mile was a testament to the power of unity, forged through shared hardship and a deep sense of justice. The rancher rode alongside the traveler, their partnership a symbol of the unlikely alliances the Old West demanded. The rancher's knowledge of the land and the traveler's determination complemented each other, creating a force that moved with purpose and precision. Together, they inspired the soldiers, reminding them why they fought. not for glory, but for the promise of safety and peace for those who called the frontier home. Amidst the battles and long marches, moments of humanity shone through. Campsites became places of camaraderie and healing, where stories were shared and laughter echoed beneath the vast sky. The army was more than a fighting force. It was a community bound by respect, courage, and the memory of a humble meal shared on a stormy night. These moments of connection strengthened their resolve, fueling their fight against the darkness threatening their world. The travelers' leadership grew, not through command alone, but through empathy and shared sacrifice. His story, once marked by suffering, became a beacon for those who believed in second chances and the strength found in compassion. The rancher, proud and steadfast, watched as the man he had helped rise from the storm transformed into a leader who could change the course of history. As the army neared their destination, anticipation and tension filled the air. The battles ahead would be fierce, but the spirit ignited by a midnight act of kindness burned brighter than ever. The soaked traveler and the rancher, standing side by side, led a force ready to reclaim the land and redefine what it meant to survive in the Old West. As the army approached the stronghold of outlaws who had terrorized the region, a hush fell over the riders. The landscape grew more rugged, the air thick with anticipation and the weight of the battles to come. The rancher and the traveler exchanged a solemn glance, understanding that this confrontation would test every ounce of their resolve and courage. It was no longer just about survival. It was about reclaiming justice for all who had suffered. The outlaws, confident in their control, were taken by surprise as the 300 soldiers swept down like a force of nature. The clash was fierce, echoes of gunfire and shouted commands reverberating across the hills. Yet, the army fought with precision and heart, each soldier driven by a belief in the cause that had united them. The soaked traveler, once weak and weary, led with fierce determination, his leadership inspiring every man and woman in the ranks. Amid the chaos, the rancher moved with steady purpose, guiding his comrades through the fray. His knowledge of the land and his unwavering faith in the traveler proved invaluable. Together, they pushed the outlaws back, breaking their hold and bringing hope to the towns and ranches that had lived in fear. The battle was a turning point, a testament to the power of unity and the courage born from kindness. When the dust finally settled, the army stood victorious, but their mission was far from over. The victory was a symbol, a message to the region that justice would no longer be bartered or ignored. The rancher and traveler knew that peace required more than a single battle. It demanded vigilance, trust, and the continued strength of a community willing to stand together. As they regrouped under the open sky, the soldiers celebrated quietly, aware that their greatest triumph was not just in battle, but in the hope they had restored. The rancher and traveler, their bond forged in fire and kindness, looked ahead to the future, a future they were determined to protect with every breath. With the outlaws defeated and the region slowly healing, the traveler and rancher returned to the town that had first offered shelter on a stormy night. Their arrival was met with cheers and gratitude, the people welcoming their heroes with open arms. The once soaked stranger was now a symbol of redemption and leadership, and the rancher stood proudly by his side, a reminder of the power found in compassion and courage. The town began to rebuild, not just its buildings but its spirit. The army's presence brought safety and order, allowing families to dream again and children to play without fear. The traveler and rancher worked alongside their neighbors, teaching the lessons they had learned on the road, that true strength comes from unity, kindness, and unwavering faith in one another. Stories of the midnight meal and the army's dawn arrival became legend, passed down through generations as a reminder that even in the wildest frontiers, humanity and honor could prevail. The traveler's journey from desperation to heroism inspired many, showing that no matter the past, every person has the power to change their destiny. The rancher and traveler often reflected on their unlikely partnership, a bond born from a simple act of feeding a stranger. Their story proved that sometimes the smallest gestures can ignite the greatest revolutions, transforming lives and shaping history in ways no one could predict. As the sun set over the sprawling plains, casting golden light across the land. The town stood as a beacon of hope, a testament to the enduring spirit of the Old West and the remarkable power of kindness, loyalty, and courage. The seasons changed, and with them came new challenges and opportunities for the town reborn from fire and kindness. The traveler and rancher found themselves at the heart of a community that was no longer defined by fear, but by resilience and shared purpose. Their story inspired not only those within the town, but also travelers and settlers across the frontier, who saw in them the embodiment of hope amid hardship. Together, they worked to build a future rooted in trust and mutual support. The traveler, once a weary soul, became a leader whose wisdom guided decisions that balanced strength with compassion. The rancher, whose simple act of kindness had sparked it all, became a pillar of the community, reminding everyone that even in the wildest places, humanity could flourish when nurtured by empathy. The town flourished under their watchful eyes. Fields once barren grew rich with crops. Homes were rebuilt with care, and laughter filled the streets where silence and suspicion had once reigned. Children learned the stories of the past, the battles fought and the bonds forged, as lessons in courage and the power of unity. Yet, the peace was hard-won, and the traveler and rancher knew that vigilance was necessary. They trained the townsfolk in defense and survival, ensuring that the community could protect itself from future threats. Their leadership forged a legacy of preparedness and solidarity that would endure long after their own days. In quiet moments, beneath the vast western sky, the traveler and rancher reflected on their journey, the hardships overcome, the lives touched, and the enduring truth that kindness and courage, no matter how small their beginnings, could change the course of history forever. Word of the town's transformation spread far beyond the horizon, reaching distant settlements and igniting a wave of change across the frontier. Travelers spoke of the Soak traveler and the rancher whose midnight kindness had summoned an army to bring justice and hope. Their legend grew, becoming a beacon for those seeking strength in a world too often ruled by chaos and cruelty. The traveler's leadership inspired others to rise, teaching that redemption was possible and that past wounds did not define one's future. The rancher's humility and generosity became a model for all who wished to build communities based on trust and compassion. Together, their story challenged the harsh narratives of the Old West, proving that even in the wildest lands, the human spirit could triumph. Settlers from all directions came to learn from the town that had turned despair into hope. They sought guidance on building not just homes, but societies founded on respect and mutual aid. The traveler and rancher welcomed them, sharing the lessons born from their shared journey, lessons etched in sweat, sacrifice, and unwavering faith. As the sun set each day, casting a warm glow over the plains, the town stood as a testament to what could be achieved when courage met kindness. It was a place where the past was honored, but not shackled by it, where every soul had a chance to write their own story of survival and success. The Soak traveler and the rancher, once strangers brought together by a stormy night, had become legends, not just for their deeds, but for the enduring spirit they had awakened in a land that would never forget the power of a simple act of kindness. Years passed, and the town that had risen from dust and despair grew into a beacon of hope on the frontier, its story carried on the lips of travelers and settlers alike. The Soak traveler, once a stranger in tattered clothes, became a figure of legend, not just for the army he led or the battles he won, but for the quiet strength and unyielding spirit that transformed a community. The rancher, whose midnight act of kindness had set it all in motion, was remembered as the heart of this rebirth, a man who understood that even the smallest gesture could spark the greatest change. Together, they had rewritten the narrative of the Old West, proving that courage and compassion could carve out a sanctuary in the harshest of landscapes. Their legacy was not built on guns or gold, but on trust, loyalty, and a shared belief that no one was beyond redemption. The town thrived because its people had learned to stand together, to protect one another, and to believe in something greater than themselves, a lesson that echoed through generations, inspiring those who came after to live with bravery and kindness. In the quiet moments beneath the endless western sky, The traveler and rancher often reflected on the journey that had brought them there, a journey defined by hardship, sacrifice, and above all, humanity. The battles they had fought were etched into the land and into the souls of those who survived them. But it was the moments of mercy and understanding that left the deepest marks. The traveler, once burdened by his past and the weight of survival, found peace not through power, but through connection, forged in the warmth of a rancher's hearth on a cold, stormy night. The rancher, who had seen countless travelers come and go, understood that kindness was the rarest and most valuable commodity on the frontier. Their story became a testament to the transformative power of empathy, an enduring reminder that even in a world shaped by conflict and chaos, the human heart has the capacity to heal, unite, and inspire. The town itself had changed from a mere settlement into a community grounded in resilience and hope. Families flourished where once fear had taken root. Children grew up hearing stories not only of hardship, but of redemption and unity. The land, harsh and unforgiving, yielded to the care and determination of those who refused to be defeated. The fields bloomed with crops, the buildings stood strong against the winds, and the laughter of neighbors filled the air. This was more than survival. It was a triumph of spirit, nurtured by the legacy of two men who had dared to believe in something better. Their example taught that leadership was not just about commanding armies or wielding weapons, but about inspiring hearts and building bridges where none seemed possible. Around campfires and in quiet homes, the tale of the Soke traveler and the rancher was shared as a guiding light for those who faced adversity. It reminded everyone that redemption could be found in the unlikeliest places, and that a single act of kindness could set in motion a wave of change powerful enough to reshape lives and lands. This story became a cornerstone of the community's identity, a source of strength during storms, and a beacon of hope for the uncertain days ahead. The traveler and rancher had shown that even in the most rugged and isolated corners of the Old West, humanity could triumph over hardship, and that true courage was often found in the simplest of gestures. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the plains, the town stood as a living monument to the enduring power of kindness, loyalty, and faith. The Soke traveler and the rancher, once strangers united by circumstance, had become legends whose impact would resonate through history. Their journey was a timeless reminder that no matter how wild or unforgiving the world may seem, the seeds of compassion planted by one person can grow into a legacy that changes everything for generations to come. In the twilight of their lives, the Soke traveler and the rancher found solace not in the battles won or the armies led, but in the community they had helped forge from the dust. Their friendship, born of trust and shared struggle, stood as a testament to the unexpected bonds that can arise when hearts are open to compassion. They often sat together beneath the vast expanse of stars, reflecting on a journey that had begun with a simple act of kindness, feeding a stranger in the dead of night, and blossomed into a movement that changed the course of the Old West. Their story was a living legacy, one that taught the power of mercy and loyalty far surpassed the might of any weapon or force. The traveler, once burdened by the hardships and betrayals of his past, had found redemption not only in victory, but in the connections he forged along the way. His leadership had transformed him from a weary survivor into a symbol of hope and resilience. The rancher, whose heart had guided that transformation, remained a humble figure, reminding all who knew him that true strength lay in acts of generosity and faith in others. Together, they embodied the spirit of the frontier, a spirit not of chaos and violence, but of courage, kindness, and unwavering humanity. The town they had helped rebuild thrived on these principles. Its people lived with a sense of shared responsibility and pride, carrying forward the lessons of unity and compassion into each new day. The land, once scarred by conflict, flourished under their stewardship, bearing witness to the power of a community bound by hope rather than fear. The stories told to children under the wide western sky spoke not only of survival, but of the transformative power of kindness and the enduring impact of a single selfless act. Travelers from distant lands came to witness the town's remarkable story, drawn by tales of a Soke traveler a rancher's kindness, and an army's loyalty. They came seeking not just history, but guidance, a blueprint for how even the wildest places can be tamed by the strength of human connection and the courage to act with compassion. The legend of the Midnight Meal and the Dawn Army became a symbol far beyond the borders of the Old West, inspiring hope in places long overshadowed by hardship. As the final light of day faded over the plains, the soaked traveler and the rancher knew their journey had left an indelible mark. Their story was more than a tale of survival. It was a legacy of faith, friendship, and the profound truth that even in the most rugged and unforgiving lands, the human spirit can shine brightest when fueled by kindness and courage. And that legacy, like the endless western sky, would endure forever. As we draw this remarkable story to a close, we see that the true essence of the Old West was never just about rugged survival or fierce battles. It was about the courage to extend kindness in the darkest hours, and the strength found in unlikely friendships forged through compassion. The rancher's simple act of feeding a soaked traveler at midnight sparked a chain of events that transformed not only lives, but an entire community. It reminds us that even the smallest gestures can ignite the greatest change. This tale challenges us to reconsider what true strength means. It is not merely power or weapons, but the willingness to believe in others, to stand by them when hope seems lost. The traveler and the rancher teach us that loyalty and courage can rise from acts of mercy, and that through unity, even the wildest frontiers can be tamed by human connection and faith. Their legacy is a timeless testament to the power of kindness in a world that often rewards toughness over tenderness. Let this story inspire you to plant your own seeds of hope and kindness. Remember, every small act, whether a shared meal, a listening ear, or an open heart, has the power to change the course of a life, a community, even history itself. When we come together with courage and compassion, there is no limit to what we can overcome. The Old West may seem distant, but its lessons are alive today, reminding us that empathy is the most powerful weapon we carry. If this story moved you, I encourage you to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your voice could be the spark that inspires someone else. And if you want to keep exploring stories that touch the heart and awaken the spirit, subscribe to the channel and become part of our community. Together, we uncover the lessons of the past that guide us toward a better future. Thank you for watching and joining this journey. May the courage of the soaked traveler and the kindness of the rancher stay with you always, reminding you that no matter how harsh the world may seem, hope and love will always find a way to shine through.